Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Martial Energetics Web Show. I am Andrew Brown, and this is Dane Dormio. How are you doing, Dane?
Hey,
Good to see
Andrew,
you.
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Well, this week we're going to be talking about technological solutions for self-defense. And Dane, why don't you tell us what are the 3 A's of self-defense?
Yeah, we talking about technological solutions for self-defense. We're really looking at that through through the lens of what we call the 3 A's of personal safety, being awareness, avoidance, and attack. And this is a model that we use to conceptually classify what are the steps that we need to take to keep ourselves safe from physical danger or to respond to physical danger if we happen to find ourselves in it. And when it comes to personal safety, the 90 to, for most people, 90 to 95% of problems are all solvable at the level of awareness and avoidance. And awareness and avoidance will, if you are diligent, will keep you away from most problems where you would need to resort to the third A of attack. So, of course, avoidance is always the first priority, and in order to exercise avoidance, we have to have awareness. But what does that specifically mean? I want to look at how this relates, how technology we technology can mean a lot of different things, but it's certainly a common feature of all of our lives. It's present all around us. So I so we're going to look at how technology relates to self-defense, specifically in terms of the 3 A's of awareness, avoidance, and attack. What does it have to do with each stage of that process?
All right, awesome. Thanks. Yeah, that's yeah, technology's come a long way, and our ability to defend ourselves just by avoiding someone with a long range weapon, that's much more important than getting close to them. Because as long as you're not there, you can protect yourself very well. So, how would you say, how can technology help us with awareness?
Well, technology has a lot of far-reaching effects in our lives. Some of them are maybe for the better. Some of them are maybe not for the better. But one way that technology, especially especially modern technology in the form of mobile devices and similar things, one of the ways that this kind of technology, digital technology, affects us is it affects our awareness. And specifically, in it's common a lot of places now. It's just normal. People are wherever they are, they're in public, they're walking around, they're interacting with their devices, and distraction can be a problem both visually and auditorily. If you are looking down at at your phone, you're not paying attention to what's going on around you, and this is one of the things that, if you put yourself in the perspective of a criminal predator who's going out looking for somebody they can get the jump on, this is one thing they're going to be looking for: somebody who is distracted or whose senses are otherwise occupied. It's going to be easy to sneak up on and surprise. And there's one there's some videos. I mean, you can find video examples of this, um, of people being surprised and knocked out uh, or robbed. There's one video uh, of a guy who's robbing people at gunpoint on a bus. He's going from one person to the next, and he finally comes up to a guy who's literally down there looking at his phone, and he doesn't know anything. He doesn't even see these other people getting robbed around him until the guy is standing in front of him with a gun in his face. So the technology can, if we allow it to, suck our awareness in, it can have that kind of effect on our awareness of our surroundings, which can therefore make us stand out as an easy target for somebody who's trying to take advantage of us. And I mentioned visual and auditory. It's also a common thing for people to have earphones that block their hearing of what's going on around them. And in terms of just full 360-degree awareness, if your sight and hearing are both really important. So if you're down either one, then it severely impairs your awareness. And if you have both being interfered with, then you're kind of in a bubble, and it makes you a really easy target. Which some places that would be fine, but some places you might think that you're safe, or you're in a public area, it's broad daylight. You might think nothing would happen here, but by presenting that temptation, it's kind of like sleeping with your head on the train tracks. You might get away with it some of the time, but it's the one time that you don't get away with it that's going to traumatize you potentially for a long time. So speaking specifically of technology that relates to awareness and perception, we've actually, the technology that's been in use for a long time is earphones like this. You actually have something in your ear if you're listening, but there's this amazing technology known as bone conduction headphones, which actually keep your ears open. They hook up to your phone or mobile device, whatever, with Bluetooth, but they keep your ear holes open, so you can hear what's going on around you pretty well, depending on how loud whatever you're listening to is. But your ear passages are not being blocked, so that gives you just switching from headphones to bone conduction headset. That's one small change that anybody can make that will improve your perceptual acuity and your overall situational awareness.
Oh, I 100% agree. When I got these the first time, I was so happy because I could walk down the street and hear the cars coming, where when I had, sound canceling earbuds, I didn't hear a car coming. So I'm just walking down the street and the car is right in my vision. I'm like, whoa, that guy was going 40 miles an hour. If I was 3 steps that way, he may hit me. So being able to hear just traffic is a big deal. Making sure that no one's going that fast around here.
Yeah, being aware of all aspects of your surroundings. If there's traffic, or if there's somebody trying to sneak up on you, if there's somebody somewhere calling for help or calling out a warning.
Yeah, you want to be able to hear everything. Yeah, so I would like, there's another one that we looked at that has sound amplification, which is kind of like hearing aids, but you can wear it on your person while you're walking around.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to go a step beyond just not impairing your hearing, this and by the way, this is not an endorsement show. We don't get paid for this or anything. But if you're looking for this brand is called Aftershocks. There are various brands you can find. You can find Aftershocks bone conduction headphones on their website or your favorite retailer. And then something that we've also used for recording is this, which is an Audio Wow studio microphone. And basically this is just a clip-on microphone that you would use for recording in a studio, recording a web show or a podcast like we're doing. And you can wear it on your clothing somewhere, and it has these earpieces that go in your ears. But what this does is it's a studio mic, which means it picks up your voice and everything, all the other ambient sounds, and it plays them in the earpieces for you. And this is actually a very sensitive microphone. So when you have this on and turned on, it's actually picking up and amplifying the sounds around you. It's playing whatever is playing in the background. Like you could have it connected to your phone. You could be listening to music or a podcast or whatever, but it's also picking up and amplifying the ambient sound. So you can actually hear better with wearing this thing than you could with nothing in your ears at all. It can be great for walking in nature if you want to hear the nature sounds and things, but also just being aware of your surroundings in a city or anywhere else. And you might even look like you can't hear what's going on around you. People might assume that you're partially deaf, but actually your hearing is even more acute than it usually is. So that's kind of a sneaky thing that you can do if you want to have even better than usual hearing.
I'll never forget what my physics teacher said about the first day he got a hearing aid. That he was in a classroom teaching his class, hearing himself okay, but it was so sensitive that someone walking by, you could hear the swishing of their clothes like super clear. So it just amplifies some wavelengths, very, very intense. And hearing those things can be a benefit, but they can also be a curse. Like he's like, I have to turn them down. So you want to make sure you use something that really helps you instead of hinders you.
Yeah, depending on how seriously you want to take this and how far you want to go.
Vigilance.
The idea, of course, is not to be paranoid, but just to be aware and prepared. And there are there are other benefits to these technologies anyway, to using bone conduction headphones, not having your ears covered up, or even using a studio mic so you can hear the sounds around you even more intensely. Can just be an enjoyable experience. And then hearing is one aspect, but there's also vision, and we are some animals have a wider range of vision than we do, and eyes kind of on the sides of their heads. They can see in a wide circle, but we have predatory binocular vision, which is really good for depth perception. We can tell how far away things are, but our eyes both point in the same direction, and we have 180 degrees or more that we're not able to see at all times. So depending on how far you want to go with this and how serious you want to take it.
Yeah. Got some specs.
You can find these. I actually have had these since I was a kid, but you don't have to be a kid to find rear view sunglasses where you have little mirrors here on the sides. And hey, if you want to be able to see behind you, I mean, I can look straight behind me, just kind of turning my head to the side a little bit like this, and I can see straight behind me. Just moving your head a little bit, you have complete 360-degree vision. Think about if you're riding a motorcycle or a moped or something, and or even just driving, how many times you have to turn and swivel your head to see into your blind spots, and if you're and how that can affect your steering. Not saying everybody has to wear these, just saying this is an option to get you thinking about this problem in a certain way, thinking about what can you do to maximize your 360-degree perceptual acuity. And obviously this wouldn't be good if it was dark, if your place was dark or it's nighttime, but if it's in the day and you're going to be wearing sunglasses anyway, you get the benefit of sunglasses, and you just blend right in, but you also have the rear vision. So if you want to make it even harder for somebody to be able to sneak up on you or catch you off guard, these things, awareness and avoidance, are always the first line of defense. So when you think of physical self-defense is what you do when awareness and avoidance have failed. If you find yourself having to physically defend yourself, that means that your first lines of defense, awareness and avoidance, have failed somehow. you made a mistake, or you messed up, or maybe you just fell victim to a freak occurrence or whatever, but somehow you failed to notice and to avoid the danger that you end up having to physically protect yourself from. So that's why we place so much emphasis on awareness and avoidance.
Oh yes. It's much more important to not deal with the threat than to confront it. As all pacifists know, it's much better just to not be there. I don't have to confront anyone as long as I avoid this thing and stay away from it and I see it far on the horizon, because I have all this stuff that lets me, binoculars, actual telescopes. You can see something really far away. So hey, I don't want to go over there. That guy, he looks scary. So use everything you have, all the tools available to you all the time. Never think about the limitations. So just protect yourself every day, survive.
And to bring this idea home, it might seem kind of silly, but there's this video that I want to share that that really drives this home, and this idea of awareness and avoidance versus physical self-defense. I want you to think about this. Watching this video, I want you to ask yourself, what could these people have done to avoid having this happen? What could these people have done to avoid what happened here? And screen sharing isn't working for me. Let me see what the issue is. Let's try it again. Okay, now it's working. There we go. Yeah.
Right.
So ask yourself, what could these people have done to avoid having this happen to them in this scenario?
Whoa! Dang! Oh, man. That's pretty good. Okay, yes. What fun.
Yeah, so looking at this, I think what's pretty clear in terms of the answer to that question I asked, what could these people have done if they were just paying attention, if they were just aware of their surroundings?
Yeah.
And
the door opened and closed, they should have heard that. That's the first thing that I would notice. I would hear the door opening and closing, and I'd be able to turn and identify and catch eye line.
Yeah, one would hope. And visual and auditory awareness. The person who is committing these crimes, you can see in this from this particular angle, you can see how they're sneaking up, kind of like a cat stalking.
Yeah.
They're sneaking up. If either these people had noticed this, so they turned around, then the mugger probably would have just turned and run at that point, because they're looking to catch somebody off guard. And there's these particular clips are illustrative in a number of ways. Thinking about, for one thing, what sort of physical self-defense would have helped these people? Did they need an anti-brick technique? I mean, would an anti-brick technique have helped them? Or did they, like, they need a weapon? Would a weapon have helped them? And the answer is no. And the situation, doesn't matter what you know, it doesn't matter what you have, it doesn't matter what you can do. In both of these cases, people were caught off guard, hit in the back of the head with a brick. And the first situation with the woman, you can see she was still conscious, but she was totally compliant. She got hit in the head with a brick at least like 2 or 3 times, and he kept hitting her, and she just didn't want to be hit anymore. Just totally compliant. The second example, the guy, he was out cold. He was unconscious the first. He just got hit once, and he was unconscious. So it's not. One takeaway from this is, once you've already been attacked, if you're looking at self-defense situation versus a fighting situation where 2 people are looking at each other and they're getting angry and they're working up to fight, that's a fighting scenario. But assault is a completely different thing, where if you see it coming, you're lucky. And the whole idea is that you don't get a chance to see it coming. You don't get a chance to respond effectively. The only way you do is if the criminal makes a mistake. So awareness and avoidance, being aware of your surroundings, would have been the best self-defense for this type of situation. And this also illustrates situationally, the woman apparently had her ears open, but she was focused on the transaction. Of course, ATMs are always built, as far as I've seen, they're always built with a mirror, like a small fisheye mirror, so that you can keep tabs on what's going on behind you. And that's and this is a great illustration of why that's there, why it's important to take advantage of that, not ignore it. But with the second instance, the guy, we can see he has a cell phone he's holding on his shoulder, so his movement is impaired, his hearing is impaired, he's distracted, he's focused on what he's doing, and these are all great illustrations of the idea that to make a mobile device in public use more safe, use a hands-free device of some kind, ideally a bone conduction headset that keeps your ear holes open, or even a studio mic that amplifies sounds around you. So even if somebody is trying to sneak up on you, you'll be able to hear better than you normally would. There's really no better illustration of these things. And then there's also something else situationally about these videos. You can see through the window, you can see what time of day it is. You can see that it's dark outside. It's nighttime. So relating to awareness and avoidance, we've been talking about how technology relates to awareness, but what about avoidance? Well, technology is a great way to get access to information. And one piece of technology that almost all of us have is a calendar, meaning, can you schedule things for a certain time if you have a choice? Do you have to schedule your ATM visit for after dark? Could you schedule it for during daylight hours? Or if there are certain things you need to do in certain parts of town, can you schedule it so can you arrange it so that you are able to do it at the safest times? Or can you uh, can you maybe even avoid some things altogether if they're not that important? Relating to information that, I mean, in just there's research that you can do regarding, for example, crime rates in your own neighborhood. What types of crimes, if you're going to move somewhere, or even if you've lived somewhere for a while and you're not really familiar with this, you can ask the local police department about what types of crimes happen in the area, about crime rates. If you're going to be visiting or vacationing a certain city, you can ask about what are the most dangerous neighborhoods or certain parts of town that you should avoid after certain hours, or certain behaviors that you should avoid. What are the highest causes of injuries or crimes for tourists? These are ways you can take advantage of information, of technology, get access to information that can help you not be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Exactly. I've made this mistake more than once in my life, and I remember I got a Groupon, and I got to this restaurant in the middle of some suburb of LA, some town of LA, and I get there and it's like, wow, everything is gated closed. It's only 7:30. Where am I? So I go to this restaurant. They're open till 8. Get my food, and they're like, oh, you should go. So get out of there by 8 and drive out of town. And as soon as I walk out, I start seeing like girls in some interesting clothes on the corners. I'm like, oh, all right, I gotta go. So yeah, I made that mistake of not knowing where, the area, the neighborhood I was going to, and you put yourself at risk. You go to the wrong. You have your family with you, and you just show up at some restaurant bar, and it's like, oh, it's a biker bar, and these guys are all in leather. And they're not looking at me in a nice way. I think we should go. Yes.
Yeah. We all have to gauge the level of risk that we're comfortable with for ourselves, but the important thing is to be aware of the existence of risk and to make sensible decisions for yourself. If you're a fit, healthy guy traveling by yourself, it might be different than if you are if you're traveling with a family, or if you're older, or you're female, or you're not in such good shape. You have to be aware of what the risk is in order to gauge what is a comfortable and appropriate level of risk for yourself. And I say it not to say, we should all be completely paranoid about everything all the time, but we have to maintain a significant level of awareness to be able to make informed decisions about what we're comfortable with and we're not, so that we don't just out of naivety or just ignorance put ourselves in a situation where we feel uncomfortable, or we actually end up being in over our heads in whatever way. Because by the time you find out you are in this kind of danger, there's a good chance that it's already going to be too late. You can't control the outcome. It's much better to never be in that situation to begin with. So
yeah,
technology, the biggest importance of technology is how it can is number one, not letting it impair our awareness and perception, and then two, using it to bolster our awareness and perception in an immediate situational way, awareness of your surroundings, and also awareness of context and location and timing.
Yes. One of the things I always say about avoidance is know your escape routes. Wherever you are, doesn't matter where you are, out in the open, in a mall, in a field, in a small house, in a big building. Know your escape routes, because you never know when you got to go. And it's very important to be able to maybe run, being able to move quickly without a lot of preparation. That shows that you have like a healthy body. And there's a lot of people who they don't keep up their fitness, and it makes it very difficult for them to escape. And we also know that different types of shoes help a great deal with your ability to run, ability to move. So pay attention to every single ability and being able to escape, and how fast can you escape.
Yeah, and related to that, if just being able to avoiding putting yourself in a situation where you're going to be lost in a less safe part of town, so that you're have your GPS up and running, and or have your directions ahead of time, so you don't so you don't end up lost and distracted somewhere where there are people looking to take advantage of that sort of thing.
I got an idea. Google Maps and Waze, they could have neighborhood warnings. So anytime you're in a neighborhood that has a crime rate or poverty rates and homeless rates, it's like, hey, you might want to watch out for that right away. That'd be cool.
Google, hopefully Google's watching and will implement that.
Yeah, well, we know they are. This is YouTube. And every other service, doesn't matter, it's being downloaded, it's fine.
Yeah, well, we'll get right on that, Google. In the meantime, the most important thing to remember is the 3 A's, starting with awareness and avoidance. Don't take it for granted that you're that you're going to be safe wherever you are. Maintain a reasonable level of vigilance and awareness, and don't let your digital devices hypnotize you into into a bubble, so that you present an easy target for opportunists.
Yeah, no, I loved your that story about the guy who's in the bus and he doesn't even know that everyone just in front of him got robbed, and he looks up and the guy has a gun in his face. That sounds incredibly terrifying, but it's also like, is that better than being and staring at him and freaking out and being afraid? Like, oh, is this the moment? Is this the moment where I'm going to kill the guy? Is this the moment where I have to act? Or is he going to kill me? And you freaking terrified. But that surprise, and he's like, okay, I'm totally surprised. Here you go. Take everything. And the criminal usually wants you surprised. And we can act. And that's another thing that we can do. So being aware of what's happening and being prepared for the thing that's about to happen next. And that's what our next episode is going to be about. What do you do next? And what kind of tools can help you to survive the worst situation of your life? So, Dane, thank you very much. It was great chatting with you about Martial Energetics web show. And I just want to say, everyone, subscribe to our email list for a lot of great information, and subscribe to our channels for more content. And of course, more information can be found at our website, martialenergetics.com. Dane, anything to say at the end of the show?
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Next time we'll talk about technology as it relates to the third A, attack, and specifically we'll look at what is what actually defines a weapon, and what is the place of weapons in an overall self-defense strategy. So tune in next time for that, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Have a good day.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.